This is your top story this hour. The Limpopo ANC has resolved to fire 7 of its mayors who were involved in getting councils to invest in VBS Mutual Bank. Premier Stanley Matabata is to brief the media on the VBS forensic audit findings shortly. Before we get to that briefing, let's touch base with our reporter Samkele Maseko now. Samkele, when we spoke to you a little earlier, you talked to us about these 7 mayors who now face the chop. But what you were saying is that in fact, not all of them were involved in getting these councils to invest in VBS.
Yes, indeed, Michelle. The ANC has just resolved to fire 7 of its mayors who wittingly and unwittingly, and some unwittingly, worked or persuaded their municipalities and councils to invest into VBS. This comes at the backdrop of this forensic audit report commissioned by the Premier, by the Department of Treasury in the province, led by Rob Toyle, to look into how municipalities ended up investing into this VBS Mutual Bank. But I'm going to throw to Pete Rampedi, the editor of African Times and the host of Capricorn Radio Talk in the evening. Pete, rather interesting that the ANC has decided to fire or get rid of 7 of its mayors who unwittingly and unwittingly, the 3 who unwittingly worked to persuade their municipalities to invest into VBS. What comes? Why have they suddenly made this decision? What influences it?
Look, there are a lot of reasons why they've suddenly decided to, embark on this kind of course of action. But the main thing that you must know is that their hand has been forced by Luthuli House. For a long time, the PEC tried to protect some of these mayors, regardless of repeated calls from their allies, as well as other people in the province, for them to fire these mayors, regardless of a situation where the party was suffering reputational damage, where service delivery had basically collapsed, even when a lot of people were protesting in some of the municipalities, because some of these municipalities could not even pay salaries, could not even finish service delivery projects, but the PEC tried to protect them. They eventually, out of pressure from the SACP in the province and many other people, decided to refer this case to Luthuli House. But you must also understand that the current PEC is actually dominated by a faction which is aligned to Denim Caesar, who is also implicated in this scandal. So it was not easy for the PEC to act on this case. So they bought for time. For a long time they said this issue was beyond their control. They also said a government process was in motion to try and deal with this issue. But you must also understand that this was effectively an ANC problem, but they tried to defer it to government, and suddenly Luthuli House came to their party and ordered them to remove these mayors. But I can tell you, their hand was forced.
When you say their hands was forced, does this forensic audit report commissioned by Premier Stanley Matabata to look at how these municipalities were invested into a mutual bank, did this report have some sort of an influence in this morning's PEC decision to get rid of these mayors, which includes Florence Radzilani, who may have not actively participated in Vembe investing in VBS? She now has to vacate office as part of the 7.
I don't think this forensic report basically had any influence. I think for me, the real influence came from the decision of the NWC on Monday last week, which set in motion developments in the Northwest. You saw the PTT Northwest firing 7 mayors, 4 of whom were implicated in VBS. They also wrote a letter to the province instructing them to tell these mayors and other ANC officials who are implicated in VBS to vacate office. For me, there was really nothing new which this forensic report could uncover, which was not uncovered by the Terry Mutau report. And the fact that they bought for time, appointed their own forensic team to probe what clearly was there was nothing new to uncover. But they also had to wait for the NWC decision to instruct them to fire these mayors. And hence, suddenly, this report, you must also understand that this report was actually finalized about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was handed over to the Premier. He said he was still studying it. And suddenly, the NWC wakes up and says, these people must go because we don't think that there's anything justifiable about them remaining in office. And suddenly, the PEC meets and says, these mayors must move. So for me, I think their hand was forced by the NWC more than anything else.
When you look at this past weekend's provincial list conference and how those who are alleged to be part of this grand theft of and looting of VBS, those who are dubbed as the VBS brigades, they were largely in charge in this past weekend's list conference. Florence Radzilani sits comfortably at the top of those who will be deployed province to province on the provincial legislature. How powerful is this faction, which is seemingly led by Denim Caesar in the province, who is said to be the kingpin behind municipalities investing in VBS?
It's a very powerful faction, if you ask me, and it was one of the reasons why the PC was almost crippled. They couldn't move, and they would just whisper in some dark corners about the impact and the damage that the VBS scandal was causing, but they couldn't move because the reality of the matter is that in that PC, they don't have the numbers. The conference which was held at the ranch recently effectively chucked out the people who were opposed to this faction, minus a couple of them, but that PC is still packed with the supporters of Denim Caesar. So they couldn't really do much. And you must also understand that most of the people who are sitting in that PC are the mayors, they are the MECs, they're also deployed strategically in some of the posts in the province. So they really couldn't do much because whether you like it or not, Denim Caesar is a very influential figure in this province, and he wields enormous influence in as far as political developments in this province are concerned. If you want to really check what I'm saying, look at the last conference. He was actually being opposed by people like Jerindo, who was the deputy provincial chairperson at the time. He was being opposed by people like Makomama Kurubeji, who was the deputy secretary at the time. Where are those people? They were chucked out of the top 5, and then he's now sitting comfortably there alongside his allies. So he's still very much influential in this province. And those who are actually trying to tell us anything else, really either they don't understand what they're talking about, or they're in denial about his influence in the political dynamics of this province. He's still very much in charge.
When you look at what just happened, which is so sad, in Fetahume Tubatse municipality, the municipality investing over 256 million rands into VBS. The people, they don't have water. There's been a lack of service delivery. This VBS saga has claimed its first fatality, the unfortunate death of one of the ANC councillors in this municipality. Where does this put the provincial premier, the premier of the ANC in the province, Stanley Chupuma Tabata, and the provincial chairperson? Is he a lame duck leader who just whispers and says things with no action? Or does he firmly have his hand on the grip and is in control of this province? He's briefing us in a matter of minutes now on this forensic report. Does he have any power?
Look, he's still very much in charge of the province, but his political hand has been weakened enormously as a result of this VBS scandal, because for a long time people were saying that, hang on, you are not acting. Your own man, your own right-hand man, your own chief ally in the province has been implicated. You're not doing anything. It appears like either you're protecting this man and his cronies, or they're actually controlling you one way or the other. And his argument was that, look, this is an ANC process. I've deliberated amongst my colleagues in the PEC. We've referred this matter to Luthuli House. But the reality of the matter is that if you look at the structure of the PEC currently, he's in charge of the PEC, and Florence Raziran is also in charge of the deployment committee of the ANC in the province. Denim Caesar is the treasurer of the province. So that top 5 is packed with his allies, and it appears like either he couldn't convince them to act on VBS, or he just couldn't win the argument in the PEC because he's alone. But to say that he's no longer in charge, I don't think it will be correct. But his political influence appears to be weakened, and he appears to be either afraid of that top 5 or he's aligned with them one way or the other. And there's also that allegation that because of his relationship with Denim Caesar, he can't move one way or the other and deal with Denim Caesar. But all of these things, I think, are either eroding his influence and authority in the province, or they're just playing into the hands of his critics, who are saying that he's nothing but a lame duck premier.
Well, that was Pete Rampedi, rather vocal and frank and to the point on the political dynamics of the ANC in the province and the influence this report may have had or may have not had, and how the matter and the factor of the great elephant in the room where the power lies, Luthuli House, the ANC's power and influence, the National Working Committee, NWC of the ANC had on the firing of these mayors, and the action that we are seeing today being taken by the Provincial Executive Committee of the African National Congress on these particular 7 mayors, which includes their own deputy chairperson who has recused herself from that particular position, and the powerful and influential Denim Caesar, who is the provincial treasurer of the ANC in the province.